Alright guys, I'm down here in Houston at Houston Motorsports. I think this is the South store,
Webster.
right? Webster store.
Yes, sir.
But either way, I'm sitting here with the man himself, Jason. And we're going to find out a little bit about what he does, how many stores he's got, what his favorite parks are, and we'll see what else.
Awesome, man. Look forward to it.
So how long you been doing this?
As far as being in the ATV power sport game since 08. So, but I've been with Houston Motorsports for going on 2 years.
Dang.
Yeah.
You've been doing this since before I graduated high school.
Yeah. So, my wife, we've been together for 17 years. One of our first dates was actually at a four-wheeler park. Was at actually Extreme.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of our first dates. It was, I think, second or third date, but yeah, it's a pretty cool story.
Dang.
Yeah.
So what got you into the off-road community?
Man, honestly, it was, we grew up wanting to ride and doing those types of things and having some toys our whole life. And then as I got older, 2006-ish, 7-ish, started seeing people, going to the four-wheeler parks. Back then it was called Melody's at Crosby. And then 08, decided we jumped out there and went one time on a buddy's, hand-me-down, and I said, you know what? It's something my cup of tea, man. The friendliness, the I don't know, totally went blank. But what got me into it was just being on a toy, having fun out in the woods, and getting lost with good, nice, friendly people. That nothing was a competition. It was just let's go have fun.
Yeah, that seems to be a lot of the stories that I hear when I'm doing these podcasts. Is that it's the camaraderie, it's the friendships, it's the families that you're not blood related, but you come together and you have the same passion. And then the next thing you know, you guys are best friends doing this for the next 10 years together.
Right. Yeah. It was. It's a lifestyle, man. It's pretty cool. Looking back, there's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of things. I've had a lot of machines. My wife's had a lot of machines. But some of the original people that I rode with back then, I still ride with today.
So, what would you say one of the biggest changes in machines have been since you've been in the game?
Man, the Polaris Razor honestly changed the game. Before that, you had the Rhino 660 and you had the Kawasaki T-Rex in the side-by-side game. 29.5s were the biggest tires, 32-inch silverbacks, and then Polaris came out and was like, hey, we got a sport machine. And, the Razor 800, and I remember when those things dropped and the price point, everybody was like, that was crazy, because it was double.
How much were they when they came out? The Razor 800.
Back then, the original one was like $12,995 or something like that. That was crazy. But before that, top of the line T-Rex and the Rhino 660, they ran the game in the side-by-side world, and they were like the king everything. But the average ATV price back then was $4,000 or $5,000 for a four-wheeler. A Brute Force in a 08, I think I picked up a 09 Brute Force 750i, which was the independent suspension 750. I want to say I paid like $9,000 for it, and back then it had a lift kit, it had a tube radio, it had some accessories, and it was out the door. It was like $9,000.
Wow, so that's crazy. The prices have changed dramatically.
Oh, everything. We could take that to the auto segment too. I remember going to look at a brand new Ford F-150 and thinking, I'll never pay $23,000 for a brand new Ford F-150. Let me tell you, I'd buy 3 of them today for $23,995 brand new.
Yeah.
So that segment, everything has increased significantly, and unfortunately with what's going on today and tariffs, I don't see it slowing down in price increases.
Yeah, tariffs are crazy. I used to do security for Ford And so I watched the prices go from 70 to 110 in like 16 months. And I was shocked. I was like, there's no way people are going to buy these. And then you go ride past the dealership and it's like, sold.
Yeah, you can't get one. You got to order it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way, and I know that I haven't been doing this as long as, a lot of the people that have interviewed, but I remember when I bought my first machine in 2020, it was a year old and I only paid $12 for it. Right. And then after I had grown from the 2-door a little bit, I knew that I needed a 4-door and I paid $30 for the next one. Yeah. And now you see these machines that are $45. The HVAC machines are, getting close to $50. It's like there's no limit to where the industry will take it next, I feel like.
Right.
I'm waiting for a sport HVAC machine. That's what I'm waiting for.
Me too. And I've been talking about that. So 3 Mud Nationals ago. 3 Mud Nationals ago, I put a rooftop air condition on a Maverick X3. And I actually got a LaRue Performance alternator kit to actually push it. And I've been saying that to a long time to the board and to our dealers, our DSMs, that the first company that comes out with a sport side-by-side with air conditioning, and I'm not just saying that from Texas, right? Texas is hot, but you think about all the people in the west, in the southwest region, that's sand.
Yeah.
Bro, we were at muddy bottoms until Friday, until the sky dropped out, right? Mm-hmm. Wednesday and Thursday, I mean, we were there. It was a dust bowl, right? Yeah. So you just imagine if your Razor had air conditioning, you had windows, and your family would be happier, your wives would be happier, and heck, I even say I'd be happier, right? I don't like riding anything without being able to control my environment. So that's bougie to say. I get it, coming from a guy that came on a brute force as his very first big purchase buggy. But man, I'm anxious to see what manufacturers is going to come out with the cojones to do that, because that's going to be a game changer. And
I mean, if you could take the flexibility, of like a Polaris Razor turbo machine or a Turbo S, and then have it come factory with windows and air conditioning and heat. Like, even I know like Southwest, they have a lot of sand and stuff out there, but then you look at like the mountains.
Yeah, and the snow and the
snow in West Virginia, Eastern Tennessee, where
we don't think about that. We don't think about that stuff down here because we don't have any of that. But you're right. I mean, that's another consumer that I didn't even think about.
Yeah, 80 degrees during the day, and then it drops down to low 50s.
Yeah.
Where you have that comfortability where you could ride so much more. I think that it would be a game changer for the market. Yeah, the price would be crazy, but it would literally be like a one-size-fits-all machine.
You say the price is crazy, but honestly, the Pro S, so the Pro S $30,000 machine, you're telling me we can't add air conditioning, add windows, and make it a $50,000 machine? And I mean, that's what people are paying for the $1,500 in the Expedition. So
yeah,
I think Polaris, I'm hearing rumors that Polaris is going to bring a bigger motor to the Expedition and make it a little bit wider.
That would be cool
to do that, but still, at the end of the day, it's still an A-armed machine. So when you talk about suspension and you talk about travel and the off-road capabilities, it's still going to be limited, right? It's not going to compete.
Then you're going to take your $50,000 machine, put another $20,000 into it to have a trailing arm set up and big lift, big portals.
Right. So I honestly think. All right.
After a quick commercial break, we're back.
Yeah. Run a company, they said.
Yeah.
Deal with lawsuits and litigation and crazy emails, and you have to go to a commercial break. So, I don't know if you're familiar with the Texas Hammer, Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer, sponsored by. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, so I hear that with the Expedition. I know CF Moto's coming out with the Expedition type vehicle, and they're saying 200 horsepower. They're saying 72 inches wide.
Wow.
They're saying all the right things. The only thing that I can't find out is it going to be an AR bike or is it going to be a trailing arm bike? So I think those two vehicles, but I think the sport chassis 100% if you are listening, manufacturers, the sport chassis needs an air-conditioned model.
That'd be sick.
I think that would be. And hey, we'll test drive it for you. No problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if anybody has one laying around, they need a test driver, holler at me.
So my buddy Jeremy Azul, up in the Missouri area, he's got a pretty cool, awesome little plug-and-play air conditioner. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Yeah, I seen it at LPE, and we were talking about it last year when he was up in Kentucky. I really like what he's done.
Right.
But for me, number one, I have a problem keeping my doors closed when I'm out riding.
Right.
So I didn't want to make that change to my machine just yet. Not until I learn how to keep the door closed and, keep myself inside the machine when I'm out riding.
Right.
But I like what he's done, and it's definitely a game changer for the people that, look at all the farm units that are sold.
Yeah.
Where they think that they don't need heat and air conditioning. Then they go buy an HD9 or something along those lines. Then you could take it up there to him and get the enclosure and the heat and air conditioning.
Yeah.
And it changes the game.
It does. It does. It's a really cool product. But speaking of him and his craftiness, the Jack Be Quick is the ticket. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. So back to one of the first questions is how I got into it. I explained that a little bit, and what I see growing is, man, people's creativeness, and as it continues to grow, and as people continue to evolve, and now this AI take over, and people think about things, everybody's looking at how to make it bigger, how to make it better, how to make things more efficient. It's really crazy how I think aggressive the power sports market has become.
Yeah, even just look at the tire game.
Oh.
You were just talking about how a 29.5 was a big tire.
Huge.
And now you got Gary out here trail riding 60s.
Yeah.
With a supercharger.
Yeah.
And just seeing the advancement, even when I started riding in 2020, if you had 32s, that was borderline big tire.
Yeah.
And the extremists ran a 35.
Right.
And now I'm on a 44 and I'm the baby of the bunch.
Yeah. So, and at Muddy Bottoms, we went to Muddy Bottoms 2 weeks ago, and one of the guys we were riding with, he's got 50s. It's a 16-year-old kid on 50s, but X3, and he's just eating up holes, and it's there's no. If my daughter wanted a buggy, she'd have to go 60s just to trail ride with these guys.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I think a lot of that's overkill, and I think a lot of that personally is not needed. I ride around in demos. The biggest tire that I have is 35. Now, granted, I don't dip off into the stuff, but I'm there to yank you out and pull you around and keep going, right?
Right.
That's the name of the game for me. Then I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be broken. I don't want to be dragging. Right? I've done that throughout my years. Been stuck in the woods watching the sun come up. It's just it's just not for me. But as far as the growth goes, yeah, I put a Cabo 6-inch lift on the brute force, and we put 35s on, our 32-inch silverbacks on. And my buddy Justin Jones did the lift, and he ran 31 Outlaws, and we were the big boys back then. And then when the Razor came out, the Razor 800, my wife had a Robbie Gordon 4-door edition, pink with cheetah wrapped, one that Kevin Bird actually helped me install the wrap and the lights, and we did a bunch of stuff over there and cut and shoot on it. And she had 32-inch silverbacks, and that was huge, the 2012 Robbie Gordon edition. I believe it was a year model, Razor 4. But you just see the transitions, and the old parts manager Mike Castillo sold me the very first Super ATV 7 to 10 inch Razor lift kit that showed up in Houston. It's crazy how far it's come.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money in these machines nowadays.
Oh yeah, I learned the hard way to do my research and only do it one time.
Yeah.
My my biggest regret in the last 3 years is that everything on my bike has been touched 3 times minimum. And, you know, all the way from audio to even the portals and the wheels and tires. Like, when I first got into it, I didn't know if I wanted to do portals. And then I started doing the math, and I was like, okay, instead of doing long travel, I'll just do beefier A-arms and radius rods, and then run no portals and do gear reduction.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, you know, what about a lift kit and long travel? And then I skipped all that, went to portals. And now I redid everything, went to L&W long travel and gear reduction in the trans and bigger portals, and it gets to be a mess once you do it 3 times.
Yeah. It does become a mess, and it's always growing, and it's never stopping. And I think that's where it can become a money pit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It can become something you know, back in 2016, we started a group, Deep and Dirty Off-Road, and then we started, you know, working on bikes in the garage and my garage, my carport, and now that company is owned by Anthony Burns. I think in 2018 he signed everything to himself, and pursuing that as a life-owned business with him. But you know, back then I could remember like getting 35s mounted there in Dayton at the tire shop and coming home with 35s and leaning them up against my truck. It was like, like just mind blown, right?
Yeah.
And then now you pull up to an event and the guy's on 63s and he's out in the trails. You know, you got Cameron Miskey, he's 63s, he's rev lemon, banging, just hitting it in the trails on 63s, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? So that's it's crazy. I mean, to think 63 to 32 is, people are double that nowadays, and it's just that's the new norm.
Yeah, I feel like the bigger the tire, the bigger the ticket is, because once you go to that big tire, you know, like especially for a lot of the folks at home that just watch like the YouTube videos and stuff, they think, oh well, all you do is you find a nearest tractor tire place, you order these monstrosity tires, and you take a bone stock bike and you just throw them on there and bolt them in and good to go.
Yeah, that's what you
do.
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's the very expensive and wrong way.
Yeah, and it's expensive to even build it properly. But you know, one thing I think that we don't give credit to is man, and I've seen this, you know, coming up in the game, and you know, I didn't just start this last night. So what the differentials and the transmissions that these machines take nowadays is crazy. It's crazy. Nobody would have thought that we could get to this point. If you would have told somebody that was buying, you know, in 2015, Polaris Razor came out with the High Lifter editions 10 years ago, and you said, hey man, Polaris is going to have a machine one day that you can put 63s on this, they'd have called you crazy. That Razor had 29 5s on it, and that was the baddest thing on the market 10 years ago.
That's crazy.
Because it was snorkel and it was a high lifter. I had 2 of them. My wife had one and I had one. Two-seaters. You would have been blown away. And nowadays, and you know, the infamous, you know, Polaris transmission issues, the output shaft, the snorkel gear, all that. Now you're in the Pro XP model lineup, and man, the front diff's solid, the tranny's solid. There's aftermarket things that you can do to make it tighter, but you can literally throw a set of portals on a new Pro S, and I have one demoed right now. You could throw 8-inch boxes on that, throw on 44s on it, nothing else. Those A-arms are beefy, the way the shocks mount to the bottom, everything's solid about that thing, and go run the same tire you're doing without doing anything else.
I wish I would have waited.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then to see...
And that's just from the Turbo XP platform to the Pro S platform. And that's only been 2 years?
No, 21. So, and then if you look, in those 4 years that platform was out there, the Pro XP platform was out there, When they made the changes in 25, they added the air vents that come in when it gets rid of the heat, especially in the 2-seater models, which is really good. The doors are way better bolstered. The seats are way better bolstered. You know, that's where I think Polaris is winning in the game. And then you look at Can-Am, and Can-Am hasn't really changed a lot, right? They haven't changed a lot in the X3. It's still a pain in the butt to get into. You still got a hard seat right there. Now, they didn't have to change a lot because they got a phenomenal machine. That's a phenomenal transmission. That's power to the ground is top notch. The suspension's top notch, right? You need to do a little bit of a stiffening on that, but they haven't redesigned any of that. And then you go into the utility series and the Defender, they haven't changed that since 2016 either. Polaris, the new 25 Polaris come out with new, better power steering. There's no more hang up in the gears and shifting the gears. It's all smooth. It turns like butter. It's self-correcting on the steering. It's a little better AC. There's so many improvements that Polaris has made, but Can-Am hasn't really had to. But it's cool to see these manufacturers change and evolve and get better and better. And yeah. I think they get that from the automotive industry too. I mean, we all know the 5.3 Triton or 5.4 Triton, whatever it was back then, with the ticking and the blowing up of the motors, and then now the Coyote 5.0 is one of the toughest motors out there, you know, and then the hybrid system, the power boost is one of the, you know, so you see that just get better and better, and it's cool to witness that, and it's cool to be a part of that, honestly. Yeah,
and the automotive industry, you're talking about the 5.0 Coyote. You guys have here in Houston one of the fastest shops in America, Midnight Performance, manual on them. And they do some wild things with the 5.0 Coyote.
Yeah. And we also have right here in Houston, Friendly Ford, Crosby, Texas, right down the road from the park, have the #1 Ford dealerships that sell single cab 5.0s.
Dang.
So yeah. And also, maybe next week I'll show you, there's a 1,000 horsepower F-150 right down the road from Crosby as well.
Dang.
So yeah, they believe in those Coyote motors. But I mean, it's cool to see, not jumping off topic, but it's cool to see involvement. It's cool to see that things get better and better. It's cool to see that differentials get better and transmissions get better, because being a dealer, in a dealer position, we don't like for our customers to have a bad experience. I do not want you to buy anything on my showroom and it break.
Yeah. I
do not want that, because what happens is you lose customers that way, and you don't have a great experience. And our #1 thing at Houston Motorsports is, I don't care how much dollars I make on you. I don't want to make $10,000 on you. I don't care if I make $2 on you. All I want you to do is be happy with the services I provide you and feel like you got a good service, right?
Right.
So ultimately, that's what I care about, and I think to see that Polaris and see that Can-Am, you know, goes through these progressions, and Kawasaki's doing a lot of stuff right now, but goes through these progressions to get better and better and be more rugged and tougher and better products is awesome, because it's just a better product to give to a better customer. And a lot of that price increase is in that.
Yeah, where you're not just paying for inflation, you're paying for the research and development that builds such a tough machine.
Yeah.
So being a dealer, because you guys are a dealer for all the brands, right?
Yeah, we have over 21 brands in 4 locations.
That's a lot. What do you guys feel is the most sellable machine? Is it like the utility models or sport machines?
Utility model. It's going to be a utility model. We sell more utilities, just because, and that's for all brands. The room, for one, that's typically, all of them are bench seats, so that's 3 passenger. On a 4-door is a 6 passenger. You can do everything with it, right? You can do, there's nothing you can't do with a utility machine. Unfortunately, some of the sport models, you know what you can't do with the sport models? You can't put 10 bags of feed in the bed of it. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't put your tools in it. You can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you got to choose cooler or toolbox.
Right. You got to choose. You got to pick and choose, right?
Right.
And on a utility model, if you don't put a 26.5 speakers in the bed of it, You could put a whole snap-on toolbox back there and the biggest igloo they got, right?
Right.
So, unfortunately, here in Texas, in our neck of the woods, we sell utility. Give you a little fact. We are the #1 CF Moto dealer in the state of Texas. We're the #2 Polaris dealer in the state of Texas. We're the #3 Yamaha dealer in the state of Texas and the #6 Honda dealership in the state of Texas.
Dang.
So we do sell a lot of product, in Houston area, and Houston area kind of helps us with that, being as populated as it is. But utility buggy is, and if anybody's on the fence of utility buggy and sport, the first thing I'm going to ask is, what are you going to do the most?
Yeah.
And if you're going to ride around your neighborhood, if you're going to work it, if you're going to do, now if you say, I'm going to go to the mud park every weekend.
And wide open throttle.
And wide open throttle. But here's the thing, the crazy thing about it is, yes, and then I'm going to push to a sport buggy, but then I want to get on to another. 2 weeks ago, we did watt training, Polaris watt training. So it's way out training, right? What they do is Polaris comes out and they bring us other brands and they bring their brands and they want us to all ride it. So we got on the Pro XP. They had a Pro S. Everybody wanted to ride it. Nowhere in that park at Extreme on a Monday was there a straight shot where I could have that pedal and use 100% of that power.
Really?
There's just not there. You just run out of room before
before you could get all the rest of the power.
So if you are leaning towards a sport buggy, the Pro XP is a great platform, but the XP, the Razor XP 1000, we also got in that 2-seater, the blue one. And I made every one of my sales team members that was there, and there's other dealerships and stuff, but I told my guys one-on-one is, you need to go ride it, you need to put the pedal down, because I'm going to tell you, the Razor XP model is one of the toughest machines out there. Now, it doesn't have 185 horsepower, so it doesn't have the horsepower to break the transmission, to break the front diff like you see in these other big horsepower bikes.
Yeah.
But nowhere in that park, it's a sport chassis that'll do 60 miles an hour. When's the last time you done 60 miles an hour in a park?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I've ever done 60 mile an hour in a park. The only place I've ever done 60 mile an hour is right in front of my house on the way to the gas station.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So there's plenty of power in a non-turboed, naturally aspirated machine, but it's the same diesel. It's like the diesel roar that we have now. How many diesel people go out and buy diesels and ain't pulled nothing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's so, but, and I'm not discrediting any of that, because honestly, if Polaris said, hey, pick a machine, what machine are you going to pick? Well, obviously I'm going to go pick the Pro S.
Yeah.
Obviously. But if I'm looking at a budget and making a budget-minded decision, a financially smart decision for the parks where we go, I mean, the Razor XP is all you need.
Dang, I never really thought of it like that. And for the people at home watching, we're not talking about if you're going to go race Battle of the Builds or Southern Bounty Series.
We're talking about everyday.
We're talking about trail riding, everyday use. Yeah. That's something I never really thought, because even like at Mud Nationals, I'd blip the throttle, but by the time it would catch and start to gain that momentum, I'm already hitting the brake.
That must have been before Friday night.
Oh yeah, it was like Tuesday. Because even Wednesday it started getting a little sketchy, and then Thursday I was like, maybe we could idle around here, and then Friday it was traffic everywhere, which was super cool to see, because
oh dude, it's awesome to see.
Like for me coming down here, that's one of the things that I miss the most about Texas, and I've only ridden at Sabine. I just haven't made it down here to go ride Extreme or
I think we talked about that today.
General Sam's.
Let's do it.
I want to. And because up at home, we don't have the acreage for a big mud park.
Right.
And so when I come down here, it's like that breath of fresh air. That's what I built my rig to go do. But I can definitely understand the difference between like the turbo model versus a non-turbo model. But I never thought of it in that capacity of when was the last time that you used all that power?
You don't.
Never.
Yeah, you don't. And even if you get in a muddle and you get buried up, I mean, nobody stays on the throttle. And a turbo, you shouldn't load up anyways in a muddle. So Not load up in the sense of put it in a mud hole. You shouldn't load the power from a turbo in a mud hole. So with that being said, I mean, it's those things that, you know, and the reason why I say I told my sales staff that, because they need to be educating the customer that comes in here. You might want to come in here and might want to buy the best machine that I have, the highest machine I have. And I know a lot of people are going to look at me and say I'm silly being a dealer, but I don't care if you want the highest and the most expensive and the most, I don't care. I want you to have the best vehicle that fits your needs.
Right.
That's what I want. That's what I would like to see. So with that being said, I think a lot of people discredit that Razor XP. I think a lot of people they don't really understand, and they just want the fastest, bestest.
To be fair, that's exactly opposite of what I thought I would hear from, you know, especially a motorsports company. It's like, well, you got to have the biggest, the baddest, the fastest.
Yeah. No, I want you to buy those things. I want you to buy those things. But ultimately, I want you to be happy, and I want you to understand that I never want somebody to get in a vehicle and go down the road. And I say down the road. Obviously, these side-by-sides we're talking about, it's not going down the road. But be years later and be like, you know, I should have never bought that machine. I wish the sales guy would have told me about that less premium product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, that less premium product is going to do 100% what it needs to do. It's just it's becoming educated, and you know, a lot of what you see my 18-wheeler at the park doing and what you see us doing with the demo rides, a lot of that is for those reasons. Is people come into this dealership and they want to spend, you know, on average $30,000 for a side-by-side, but they've never rode one. They've never test drove one in the trails. They've never used the throttle. They've never seen the difference.
Yeah.
And you know what? I go to the park, the mud park. So I tell you what mud park I'm going to. I'm taking units, bring a driver's license, come over and ride it, and I'll show you why you need it. There's no other dealers. Those are my units.
Yeah.
Those are my units.
You guys had a whole lineup at Bogs and Boulders when I first met you guys. You guys had a whole lineup out there.
3 states away.
3 states away.
Yeah, and letting people having fun. I don't know if you've seen our videos and stuff, but people were having fun. Mud Nationals, same thing. River Run, we've been there a couple times, the same thing. And you know, it's bringing the lineup out there and saying, hey, if you're going to buy something, how about meet me at my next event and discover the lineup and see what really fits your needs.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the customer that comes in here and buys one time. I want your kids' purchases.
You want your kids' and your kids' is
exactly.
To come through here 100 years from now when we're on flying saucers and they're like, you know what, this guy over here at Houston Motorsports, he took care of me.
And he's always going to take care of you.
Right.
And that's, so Philip Orange being the owner and me being the COO, that's the number one thing. I don't care about, at the end of the day, we got to make money to stay in business, so don't take that the wrong way. But I don't care about half of that.
Right.
What I care about is, did we do the right thing, and are you happy? You know, there's something I talk about openly in my sales discussions, and I talk to my team is, you got Chick-fil-A's in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I say, hey, we're going to get a chicken sandwich, McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, what are you picking?
Chick-fil-A.
But you're paying. So what are you picking?
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, so they're more expensive. What are you picking?
McDonald's, maybe.
You tell me. You just said Chick-fil-A twice, and you know.
I mean, I'm stuck on Chick-fil-A because.
Okay. Now hold on. Let me now get there. Now you have agreed that Chick-fil-A costs more, and you want to go to Chick-fil-A, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, what nationally is the fastest drive-through in America?
McDonald's.
McDonald's. So now I'm going to say, Dylan, we got to go to the drive-through to get this chicken sandwich. Do you still want to go to Chick-fil-A?
No, I'm probably going to pick McDonald's because it's quicker and easier.
Well, you're different. Most people say yes. Most people say, yeah, I still want Chick-fil-A.
Well,
so most people agree to spend more time, more money, because of why? And in the same time that we're talking about this, if I say my pleasure, what's the first thing you're going to think of?
Chick-fil-A.
So you agree to spend more time, more money for an experience. The steel processed chicken.
Yeah, true.
With a little seasoning, it's still the same chicken.
Yeah.
But you know why you did that? For the experience. Because you know you're going to have a better experience. You're going to have a better time. Everything's better.
Yeah.
And you're willing to pay a little bit more and spend a little bit more time because it's better. Guess what? If you treat your customers better, they'll spend more time, they'll spend more money, and they'll do better things for you. That's all you got to do. Treat people like people. And I've been saying that for 20 years. My whole life. I have always said that. And Anthony Burns has known me for a very long time. You know, I reference this deep and dirty thing. I have preached this multiple times sitting in the shop with him. Treat people like people. And when you treat people like people, they treat you like people. And people generally, majority, want to treat people better.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
You know, you just treat people like people, and they're going to want to smile when a person smiles at you, wave at when a person waves at you, and if you need help, help.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like about the four-wheeler park, too, is I don't pass anybody up.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm like, that's one of the biggest things that I noticed in between like the mud world versus the rock world. If you're in the mountains and you're sitting there with, you know, an A-arm ripped off, the wheels hanging, the cage is dented, people are like, oh wow, that really sucks. You know, and out here in the mud world, it's like, oh wow, that guy is missing a front passenger and a rear driver. He got 3 axles that are, you know, kitty wampus hanging out of this thing. They're pulling over to see if you're good and if you need help to get out.
Right, right. And you know, that's, you know, the Mud National thing and all the critique and all the hype on, you know, on WTF Off-Road after, and everybody complaining about the rain. My thing is, they open the gates Monday. The rain came Friday late afternoon, right?
Right.
If you thought you were coming to an empty park after Thursday, if you thought, hey, I'm going to get there Friday and it's going to be an empty park and I'm going to have plenty of room to pick and I'm going to...
Yeah, no.
Something's wrong with your planning.
Yeah.
So, for those people that are complaining, I just have one book that'll change their life, Extreme Ownership. So, on the fact that you didn't do any planning...
Yeah.
And then you showed up, and heaven forbid, the forecast that was out for 10 days before that said that it was going to rain Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
And now it's the park's fault. Now it's Highlifters' fault because there's too many people. Well, let me tell you, it's Mud Nationals.
It's
the biggest mud event of the year, and if it wasn't packed, guess what?
We would have a problem.
We'd have a huge problem. I told everybody coming back. Everybody has the, you know, the story of the saga and the drama, and I think the park did a great job. I think the host did a great job. I think they did everything they could to give the best experience. And I know those people personally, and I'm gonna tell you, they believe a lot like I do. They believe in giving an experience.
Yeah.
And with that being said, dude, the lines of people that were lined up in them trails and them hard packs that weren't getting out of their buggies and helping that 2-wheel drive truck or helping that trailer or hooking it up and dragging it out, that the problem is within that group.
Yeah, it's the people not being people.
It's the people not being people, and it's the people not treating people like people. It wasn't the park. It wasn't High Lifter. It wasn't that. No, they were doing everything they could. They had tractors out there. They were working in the rain. They were cold. They were shaking. One point, I walked up to a worker. He was shaking.
I literally watched one of their bulldozers making a new trail. Like, all you could see is the treetops coming down. And I didn't know what was going on at first because it was probably 100 feet away. You couldn't hear because all the machines. And then all of a sudden you see the bulldozer coming through. And he was on his way to go drag a minivan out that... I don't know what they were doing, but they were someplace they shouldn't have been.
Exactly.
But, like you said, it's people not doing the research. And I know I'll probably get roasted in the comments for it, but it's one of them things where if you're going to be the first-time buyer and you don't do your research to know that it is so massive, like the reason we come down from Kentucky for Mud Nationals is that it's the first big ride of the year. The biggest, the baddest, the coolest stuff's always going to be at Nats.
Yep.
Because that's where people want to come out and show up and show out. So if you're not going to do the research and say, hey, look, Friday at 5 when I get off work and then make the 2-hour drive over, now it's 7 o'clock, you're coming into the gate, you're not going to get prime parking. You're not going to find that dry camp spot that's right next to your buddy that's been there since Monday morning.
Correct.
You know, if you're not using all 7 brain cells you got left, you know, you got to come up to an equation here. And for all the people that were on WTF and literally every group complaining, if you didn't know to check the weather when you were going there on Friday to ride Friday night or just Saturday, well, it's nobody else's fault but your own.
How do you plan an outdoor activity as a ride and not look at the weather?
And how do you go to a mud park and expect not to get muddy?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It don't make sense.
It's crazy, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you. The only time that I was bummed, once again, it was actually Friday afternoon when it rained because drag racing was supposed to be at 2 o'clock. Is the drag racing got cut because of the rain, but had nothing to do with anything other than Mother Nature.
Right.
And not that I say I was bummed. I was just disappointed not to see some, because they had some power out there, and I honestly was anxious to watch it. But as far as Southern Bounty Series, man, Tony puts on a heck of a show, and even in the midst of all that, he still put on a heck of a show.
Yeah.
And just nonstop action and organization, and it's I'm telling you, he's put together, and I enjoyed Mud Nationals, and I enjoyed seeing almost 8,000 people there. So, and I think it's a great thing, and I think if we don't have people falling in love with the sport won't keep evolving.
Right.
This lifestyle. This is a lifestyle, not a sport. This lifestyle. If people don't keep falling in love with it, then it won't. You know,
it won't evolve and grow, because then it'll be a stagnant pond.
Right. Yeah. So I like to see it the way it was. I think the show and shine event didn't have as many people as I thought there would, being as that we gave away a unit, gave away a CF Moto Papio. But one thing, the third place winner, he was a kid that worked on building that Honda for 2 years. Once again, we need kids like that fall in love with that, because I was that guy, right, that fell in love with the brute force. So overall, I think Mud Nationals was pretty legit.
Yeah, I had a blast. Like, that's the one event I know every year I will be there.
Yeah.
At all costs.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about the new CF Moto that just touched down here in America?
So, we just got them yesterday, and I think we got 3 2-seaters, and I think all 3 of those are gone. And then I think we got 4 4-seaters, and I think 2 of them were gone this morning, and pretty sure the other 2 are gone too. That Pro model is probably one of the smoothest riding utility machines out there. Yep.
Dang.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I ride them all, right?
Yeah.
I have Cant demos, I have Cali demos, I have Polaris demos. I even have CF Moto demos. Right now on the truck, I have a CF Moto C-Force 1000, the 4-wheeler, which is one of the smoothest ATVs on the market. I think they're becoming the Kia Hyundai of the ATV world. I think when I posted yesterday, and I didn't feed into the comments, I think there was over 60 comments on the CF Moto drop when I did do the drop on WTF.
Yeah.
And I seen somebody in there that was just like, just completely just negative against it, and I don't understand or get. They were like, what's the game changer? Well, the game changer is that their MSRP is $5,000 and $7,000 lower than the competition.
Yeah.
And what happens is why that's a game changer is that keeps Polaris and Can-Am from making another price increase because of these tariffs, because they're going to lose market share to somebody that's going to buy a CF Moto. So there's more to it than, and of course I'm not going to get on WTF and try to explain ignorance with intelligence, right? I'm not going to do that. But that's why it's a game changer. It keeps the price point. These things are getting pricey, and these things are increasing at a rapid pace, and it takes the cheaper brands to come in and hold margin and actually show that, hey, we need to lower the cost a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and you could say, okay, well, they didn't. That hasn't worked. But it has, because look at Polaris. Every North Star had a rebate, and every North Star had 2-year warranty. Every North Star, they got ahead of the game and emptied their inventory before CF Moto hit. So it does work. It is working. But it's a phenomenal machine, man. It comes with sound system. It comes with Apple CarPlay. I'm anxious to see the toughness of it too, right? We know Defender Limiteds and North Stars are out there in the mud holes, right? We know they're mud bogging them, and
oh yeah.
so I'm anxious to see. I know Ben Touchton reached out and said, who would stand behind a factory warranty for a built unit. Ben, I'm your guy, buddy. I got you. Let's go.
Exclusive Motorsports, holler at this man.
There you go. Let's do it. I think. I'm anxious to see that. I'm anxious to see that. And one thing I could tell you too is, man, CF Moto is going to do exactly. People fail to realize when the 1000 came out, the Razor 1000 came out in 14, and then 15 the model lineup started getting a little better. People fail to realize in 14 through 17, that first motor, the first throttle bodies, the first throttle body boots, the transmissions, all the issues before. Nobody has rolled a machine out and it's been heaven sent.
Yeah.
Day one. Nobody's done that. Nobody's done that. Not one. People are praising the Can-Am Outlander Gen 3. You know what? There's fan issues already. There's throttle body issues.
I seen Asta Cruiser was saying if you submerge it, it cuts off.
Cuts off in the cold water. That's the throttle body, because the throttle body needs to be updated. Needs to be flashed. Recalibrated. I'm sorry, recalibrated. But there's problems with them, right?
Yeah.
The Maverick R, the Maverick R came out last year in 2024, and then they needed the transmission updates, and they needed the Polaris North Star came out and wouldn't go over a twig, right? You had to do a transmission update. You had to do a TCM relearn. Everything comes out, and then there's little bits and pieces. So for somebody to answer your question, for somebody to buy that machine is a phenomenal purchase. The seat cushion is nice. The ride is nice. The steering, how it has set up, is nice. The brushless power steering model is nice. The power window is awesome for the people that want that, right? I don't want that. I want the push out window, right? I'm just that guy. The dump bed coming with it, for a factory price of $24,000 MSRP for a 2-door, or $27,000 for a 4-door. Are you kidding me?
That's one thing, like,
are you kidding
having
me?
this conversation, right? Like, I'm learning and growing with you, right? And I guess I never really thought of it like that as well. Like, not only did they come in cheaper for all the bells and whistles, a winch, audio, CarPlay, like, that's stuff that isn't available in a North Star. You can't get CarPlay in a North Star unless you do a whole bunch of work to it.
So just think.
And you're keeping the other prices in check. Because they can't grow when you have this other model that's just dangling over your head saying, hey, if you go up, we're going to take those customers.
Yeah.
That's something I never thought about right there.
Yeah. You know, and this thing too, the Apple CarPlay, and you see this on social media all the time, that people hack the touch screens and the radios, and whether you can play movies and YouTube. I can only imagine, especially if Telemato, he's an audio guy that's here in Houston, Victor Perez. Once he figures out that CF Moto and be able to put whatever the stream, whatever on their TV, I can just imagine what kind of videos are coming to WTF next. Yeah, I don't even want to see them, but I could just imagine. But yeah, just the technology and everything they're doing, and man, the shocks are nice. I mean, everything about that machine. And if you come down next week, like we talked about, we'll go to that store and I'll put you in one.
Cool.
They're just, honestly, it's a nice machine. If I'm the guy, which I am this guy that's not going to beat anything up, I'm buying one. That's what I'm buying. And I don't beat anything up by any means. I drive stock trucks, and I go around. I'm team go around. I'll pull you out though, and I'll laugh at you while you're broke. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I have fun too, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my taste of fun doesn't have to be your taste of fun.
All the different flavors.
Right.
Of the off-road community. You got the go-arounds. You got the there is no go-around. Then you got the always on the throttle. You got the always with the music. Always with the trail sodas. You know, you got the 2 minute and 30 second, or the 2 minute 30-minute club. You go from this tree to the next tree. You park there for 30 minutes, and then you go to the next tree and hang out there for another hour and a half.
So at Mud Nationals, we had UTV Stereo come out from Arizona, and we also had Sandcraft and Mini RZR come out, and we rode one afternoon. I forget, one evening. I don't know if it was like Wednesday or Thursday, and he texted me, the guy from Sandcraft, Mini RZR, Hunter. He texted me. He's like, "Bro, you gotta stop. Give us a break." And he's like, "Bro, your team go around, but you don't stop, bro."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not that guy. I mean, I'm out here. I'm on a ride, and you know, what I mean, I stop if somebody's broke, and you know, obviously, but yeah, I don't like to sit around and do the whole 5-minute ride and then sit for 30. Yeah, I'm not. We'll go back to camp and do that.
Yeah.
And I could be cooking something. You know, I like to eat.
Me too. That's a problem for me. I love to eat.
Yeah, I don't want to be out here just in the woods, just looking at each other, talking about stuff that we could be talking about at camp, and then the likelihood of us breaking something at camp is unlikely. So,
that's true.
Like I said, I've been out there and watched the sun come up on a broke down Polaris Razor. So that, I mean, it's just that's crazy.
So without holding up your whole day, I think my last question for you is, out of all the beautiful parks here in Texas, or anywhere that you've been, what's your top 3 parks?
Number 1 park, and I just got back from it, was is Muddy Bottoms. I've been to it 5 times. Muddy Bottoms is in Serpentine, Louisiana. It's the holiday of all parks. It's the staff is top notch. A shower room. You have a shower room. You walk in, you buy the wristband for $15. They hand you a warm towel and a washcloth every time you walk in. You walk out, you drop it. It's all climate controlled. It's top of the night. A splash pad for the kids. Gas station. There's a convenience store. I mean, it's on Eagle Lake in Louisiana. By far, and I've been all over. By far is one of the nicest parks I've been to, if not the nicest.
So Blake from Bottomless Trails, he told me, he said it's the Disney of mud parks.
Yeah.
In the United States, wherever, you know, like all the places he's been, and I just booked my campsites for Mudapalooza.
Yeah. So I will tell you that Houston Motorsports and myself will be making a trip there every April for an international mud show, as long as they continue to do that, because there's not a lot of people in April, and what you're going to see is it's going to be packed for this event. It's still an awesome park and plenty of trails to ride. Bro, it's awesome. One of the biggest gators I've ever seen in my life was there. It's an awesome place. Yes. So what he told you is 100% the truth.
Cool.
Yes. Second to that is probably going to be Bogs and Boulders. It's a bad of the bone park.
Yep, I'll be there July. Shout out Lost Riders. They're doing the back to school drive, and they're doing a trail challenge July 25th through the 27th.
Yeah, I would love to make it to that. I don't know what July looks like for me, but I know August I'm packed. July I think I got one thing going in July. So he did tell me about that event while he was at General Sam's, him and Mark. But yeah, I just have to look at the calendar. But Bogs and Boulders is beautiful. I would love. So I was there in October in episode 1 of Shooting Mud Madness.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was too cold to touch the water and the lagoons and all that. But I think that's awesome. I think that's a beautiful park, man. I like the rocks. I like the hills. They have the mud holes. They have I mean, they have a variety of everything riding, you know.
Right.
They have a lot more rock than Muddy Bottom does, but Muddy Bottoms also has good pass around trails and has a mixture of both. And then third to that is my hometown park, man. Is hometown park Extreme is where I grew up. Is where I put mud in my blood. It's every bit of 1,700 acres of fun, and despite what all these people say on social media, is I've been going there, like I said, since 2008, and I've never had an issue.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue with craziness. I've never had any of those issues. But now I'm also not the guy that leaves my stuff unlocked. I'm not the guy that leaves stuff in my bed of my truck. I'm not. You are in Houston. You could go. I don't care where you are. You could go to the Galleria. You go to Post Oak Boulevard, one of the richest roads in Houston. And if you park and leave something valuable, you're in Houston. You're in a city of 8 million people with 11 million in the close region. So you have the potential to be a victim.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been to the Galleria because I used to come down here for Texas 2K.
Yeah.
And we started doing that in 18 all the way until they left Houston when the track closed. And you see Ferraris riding down the street.
Yeah.
You got to know your surroundings. Obviously, you leave your car unlocked with the key in the ignition. What's going to happen?
Right. So all the bad thing that people say about Extreme, I disagree with. The owner of the park is top notch. He's a close friend of mine, and I'm gonna be honest, man. I love it. It's on Sentinel River. It's got plenty of water. One thing about the mud parks in the summertime is I don't like any mud park that doesn't have flowing water.
Yeah.
So that's one great thing about Sabine. That's one great thing about River Run. That's one great thing about Extreme. There's a couple other parks here locally that don't have running water through them, and that's the only downfall. A swimming hole, and people that like to have fun outdoors go hand in hand. I mean, it's just hand in hand. So they have done slides, they've done palapas, they do pavilions. What's crazy to see is we talked about it earlier before the podcast. There's 4,000 people there almost every weekend.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And there's not, and it's not just riders. Like there's a whole nother side of the park that's a marina that people take up the pavilions and get in the water where the slides are and get over there by the pavilions. They don't even have side-by-sides and ATVs. They're just there partying. They have barbecue pits set up for everybody. It's just a family spot during the daytime. Now, at nighttime, does it get a little wild? Yeah. Do they post provocative things? 100%. Is it like that everywhere? No. They do that for one thing and one thing only, is because it draws attention on social media.
Right.
And that's in one area of the 1,700 acres.
It's all about doing your research. You can't go to a mud park at 3 in the morning and expect everybody is, going to church.
Right. So going to church, what's cool about Muddy Bottoms is on Saturday at 10:30 at the pavilion they had church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And the family that owns that park, and Bailey, the daughter that runs it, I mean, it's just a phenomenal park.
Well, now I'm even more excited to hit Muddy Bottoms.
You're going to have a great time. And you know what? I don't know, you bought a camper spot, you got your camper, pay the $15, do the shower house, because you know what's nice? You walk in the shower house, you put all the mud in their shower,
then
you go get in your camper, and then you can clean yourself, and everything's climate control. It's crazy. It's an experience, man, that, and I was at Muddy Bottoms too. The coldest I've ever been was a ride, I think 2 years ago, and somebody correct me in the comments, but it might have been 2 years ago or 3, but bro, it was like 6 degrees at Muddy Bottoms one February. We went for the Muddy Girl.
Yeah,
I'd never go in February again.
6 degrees is a little too cold for me.
Yeah. No, and then that year too, we had the crazy northern front or whatever. So it was the abnormality, but just the fact of I'm done with the cold riding too, and that's why I ride North Stars.
Yeah.
Or Limiteds.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time.
All right,
Thanks for teaching me a little bit about the dealership side of it, and definitely a great conversation, and we'll see you out on the trail somewhere.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.